What's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I am Brian and it is 4 a.m. and I am here to give you a GORUCK metal patch update. That's right, 4 a.m. and the reason I'm doing this at 4 a.m. is because I actually received a response from GORUCK timestamped 2:59 a.m. and that's significant to me because I do believe it does mean that they have taken my inquiry to them seriously. I mean, who is up sending emails at 2:59 in the morning? And so the first thing I want to say is I do appreciate GORUCK for giving me this response, and it is a much better response than the kind of canned response that other people who inquired were receiving. It does provide some more insight, and I will read it in its entirety. The first thing I will say is I am a software engineer. I've worked as a software engineer in the defense industry my entire career, going on 18 years now. I've worked for 5 different defense contractors, and I've built systems in support of national security the entire time. So I know a thing or two about software, and it's not that difficult to do what I did, to figure out the order numbers. I think it's amazingly impressive that as a community we were able to piece all that information together. And when we did it, it was for fun. We wanted to have a sense of whether or not we were going to get a metal patch early. And I think if they had honored the actual orders first come, first serve, everyone would have been happy across the board. The feedback on my video has generally been very positive. The reason I made the video in large part was to provide a real voice for people who felt wronged, who otherwise would have just bit their tongue and swallowed it. Now, for those of you who aren't sure what's going on here, I recommend watching my first video on this, as I don't want to recap all of that here. But I drew some conclusions based on this information, and I presented that in the video. And the one thing you'll note from this response is what isn't said. So, you know, when I emailed GORUCK, I was very confident in my position. In fact, I would say assured in my position of being one of the first actual 250 customers to make a purchase. And the response sort of explains this without actually addressing it directly. And I think what isn't said basically acknowledges the truth of my position. But it's better than just telling a customer that knows they were in the first 250 orders that, hey, they weren't, they didn't get a metal patch. So, short and sweet, I am going to read the email for you in its entirety. Hey Brian, thank you for reaching out. I apologize for the inconvenience, but we sequestered the first 250 orders that, and this is key, processed through our distribution centers network and shipped all of those out first. I know this for a fact as I manually pulled those orders first based on the first 250 orders total. Some orders may have taken longer to process, but we only went based on how soon the order could be processed into our distribution centers network. After we packed all of the first 250 orders pulled from our distribution centers network, we then shipped out all orders that were received in the system after the first 250. I also know, since I was physically at the distribution center the day we shipped those, that we put all 250 in the first 250 orders, so there were no leftovers. If you are unhappy with your gear, you can always return it within the 30 days for a full refund. As long as your order has delivered within the last 30 days, you can acquire a return label for a refund or store credit. You can also exchange for another size of the item as long as we have more than 5 available in stock when you return. Please let me know if you have any other questions and I will be happy to help. Joe, GORUCK Customer Service. So, this is a real response. I appreciate a real response. And in fact, if this is the type of response that they had measured and taken to everybody that inquired, I think a lot of people would have felt a little bit differently. Now, it is unsatisfying to not get what you were expecting, but at the same time, it's also understandable what has taken place here. Long story short, without really getting way into the weeds on this, as a software engineer, we call this a race condition. It's not quite exactly that if you're a software engineer, but basically the true order of something has been distorted based on the way that they got processed. Long and short, that's effectively what happened here. We had a true order of people that made purchases, and it's actually very easy to identify those people because it's a one-up number. So if you know how to count, you know how to figure out the true order. Now, they should have gone off the true order. As a software engineer responsible for systems for national security, you have to go off of the true order in situations like this. You said the first 250, you meant the first 250, you gotta find the first 250. You don't let things get garbled up and then take the first 250 because that's not the true first 250. That being said, not everyone in the world is a software engineer, and those fulfilling orders for something like this might not be software engineers, might not appreciate that technicality. I can understand this answer. This makes sense to me, and that's good enough, I suppose. Am I satisfied as a customer? I am not. But am I satisfied that this is a real answer? 100% absolutely. So I'm going to leave that for you to figure out what you want to do about this, if anything. As far as I'm concerned, this chapter is closed. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you, and I am going to go back to sleep, but otherwise I will see you at the next one soon.